Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and I'm joined here by Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins and the senior leadership of our Westchester County Department of Public Safety. Today our topic is going to be fighting crime and what the incidence of crime is like in Westchester County. I mentioned that we have a series of conversations. We've had one yesterday to talk about the impact of taxes in Westchester County, and tomorrow we're going to talk a bit about environmental activities, things to improve our environment. These are major issues that are on people's minds. We want to try to address it straightforwardly with an update of where we are. In the area of crime, we deal with something that is defined by a much larger setting than just Westchester County. Every day we travel about our day, we live where we live, we work where we work, and travel in between. But things that happen outside of that corridor affect the way we view things. One of the most impactful things is when we turn on media, television, or we look at our cell phone to get information, and we see that things are happening all across the region, in New York City, in other areas around New York, and other major cities across the country. And it certainly is true that caring about your public safety, the safety for you, your family, your loved ones, your friends and neighbors, is very high, if not at the very top of our list of things that we're concerned about. And we take for granted our safety until those moments happen when our safety may be called into question. And it's at that point in time that we turn to those professionals who've devoted their life to providing public safety, and we want to make sure that they're there and they are well trained and they have the proper equipment and they're in a position to protect us, average civilians, from what might be an incidence of crime. But we also have to deal with the perception of crime and the reality of crime. And part of our conversation today is to go over where we stand in Westchester County today in actual fact. Many people hear statistics and it may not match up with an anecdote, but there are individual anecdotes regarding crime because crime exists at all times and all places. There are places in this country and elsewhere that have the strictest of laws, and they have death penalty and lifelong incarceration, but they too have crime because what generates crime is worth a completely different conversation, psychological and issues that affect individuals. But how we fight crime, what we do to take resources to try to do the best job of protecting your safety, that is within our responsibility. And these men that are with me here today and the other 300 or so sworn officers that are part of our Westchester County Department of Public Safety have made their life protecting and providing our frontline efforts to reduce crime. What's important to note, first of all, is where we are in Westchester today, and then I'm going to ask Acting Commissioner Terrence Rayner, Chief of our Inspector of our department, Jim Luciano, and Captain Jim Greer, to talk about the work that they do every day in this department so that you have a sense of what resources are put toward making you safe every day. But first, the general picture. As much as there is a perception that crime is on the rise, and it may in fact be that in certain urban settings locally and elsewhere around the country, it is important to understand that we compare statistics that are reported by each police department to the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services. And they issue a report which summarizes a year-end result of reported crime. And from 2017 to 2022, that's a 5-year period of time that overlaps the COVID situation, so it takes into account that COVID was part of those 5 years. But from 2017 to 2022, last year, we have encouraging news that crime is down in a host of different areas. Let me go through the statistics first of all. The major crime reporting areas are aggregated into an index crime statistic that takes into account crimes of property and crimes that are violent and directed to individuals. Overall index crime in Westchester County is down over 5% over the course of those 5 years. Now, the different categories show different results in each of those different areas. So in the violent crime portion of index crime, violent crime is down 15.7%, almost a 16% drop in violent crime. What it does tell you is that we have issues of crime that deal with property as much or more than we deal with violent crime that deals with individuals. The property crime total is down 3%, so that's a little lower than the overall index figure. And it does tell you that we've got work to do. But in the areas of violent crime that people are most concerned about, when you walk to your car late at night from point A to point B, and you think about your personal safety or the safety of your loved ones, murder in Westchester County over this 5-year period is down 47%. 47% less murders today than 5 years ago. Rape, a horrific crime, down almost 29% over the course of those 5 years. Robbery, down 27%, 27.4. There are actually decimal points that are attached to these. Aggravated assault is down almost 8%, 7.9% over this 5-year period. And then when we have property crimes that involve a number of different other areas, we look at things like burglary, which is down 25%. Larceny is down almost 3%. Now, we have seen an increase in auto thefts. That's one category that has not decreased over the 5-year period of time that we're referring to. But in most of these other cases, it is the hard work of these gentlemen and those that they represent, not only in the county police department, but also our local police departments. We have 40 or so local police departments, as large as the city of Yonkers, as small as the village of Buchanan, that also are partners in fighting crime. But this across-the-board numbers, being down over 5% in total index crime over 5 years, is good news. And that should give people some confidence and some sense that the money that we're spending to support our police services is money well spent. And we have, as Westchester County, in our most recent budget, the 2023 budget that we're operating under, have in fact spent more money in supporting this Department of County Government than any prior year. So whatever rhetoric you might hear out there, sometimes in other jurisdictions they talk about defunding the police. That is not what's happened in Westchester County. We have funded the police department. But it's not just a question of total dollars. It's how the dollars used. How the dollars used to make sure that we have the best training for the men and women in our department, that we have the best equipment for the men and women in our department, that we have the right type of supervision and we have the right type of specialty programs and services, that we use technology as well as we can, and all of those different things we're going to talk about in just a second. It's important to understand that no drop in a statistic makes you personally safe. You also have to live your life in prudent ways. And I often remember my father telling me when I was a young boy, and I grew up in a more difficult neighborhood in this county, and he would say to me that if you're outside Georgia at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, your odds are much worse. So in essence, be smart and try not to be in places at certain times that could lend themselves to a certain problem. But we want you to have the comfort that professionals are on the job all the time trying to address these issues and to try to address them well. Let me introduce first our Acting Commissioner of the Department of Public Safety, Terrence Rayner. He has been in this department now for almost 6 years, and he's provided professional services first as Deputy Commissioner, now in his Acting Commissioner role. He supervises the department, and we'd like for him to talk a little bit about that overall macro problem, and then he will go on to introduce Chief Inspector Jim Luciano, who's had a long career of service in this department as a professional police officer, and then beyond that, Captain James Greer, who will also speak. Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, County Exec. I just want to thank senior members of the police department staff, and here with me I have Chief James Luciano and Captain James Greer, who will take us through the day-to-day operations of the department, what we do, what they units that they supervise. And as the county exec noted, yes, the total index crimes are significantly down. Violent crimes and property crimes are down as well. This is continued good news for the people of our county. This index actually provides a statistical snapshot of violent crimes as well as property crimes, and it offers us valuable insight to the relative safety of our communities and highlights whether major crimes are on a rise or decline. For those of you who may be unfamiliar, let me just describe briefly the specific crime categories that are in the Part 1 index. Violent crimes in that index are, as the county executive mentioned, murder, aggravated assault, forcible rape, and of course robbery. Property crimes are included in the index. Those are motor vehicle thefts, burglaries, larcenies, and arson. While there are other types of crime, these major categories do give us a solid basis for comparison when we look at statistics annually. They also help us assess trends that are occurring over longer periods of time. There are places in our nation, of course, and even here in our state where the news isn't as good. But here in Westchester, we're pleased with the statistical trend that we've been seeing in recent years. I'm grateful to the county executive and, of course, to the Board of Legislators for providing the Westchester County Police Department with the resources we need to fulfill our mission. And that mission includes supporting local law enforcement. I also salute the great work being done by all police departments in Westchester. Our crime statistics reflect the tremendous collaboration throughout Westchester's law enforcement community, and that includes our state as well as our federal partners. This has contributed greatly to our county's overall success in combating crime. The Westchester County Police remain committed to working cooperatively with all local, state, and our federal partners. We do so in multiple ways, which you'll hear about shortly, from hosting the multi-agency real-time crime center to assigning personnel to joint task forces to partner with individual departments on a variety of investigations. By working together, we continue to keep the people of Westchester safe. We have investigators that are assigned to several federal joint task forces, and we also work closely with our neighbors in Rockland, Dutchess, and Putnam counties as well. So to start taking you through some of what we do in law enforcement, I'm going to call upon Chief James Luciano, who will provide you some oversight. Hey, Chief.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. As part of my responsibilities as my role with the county police, I've been fortunate enough to be tasked with overseeing our Special Operations Division, which is a very unique division that encompasses 7 subunits. Of the 7 subunits, we provide police coverage, both proactive and responsive. We have full-time and part-time members of air, land, and water. Won't say sea, air, and land. Don't take anything away from the Navy SEALs, but very similar. I'll use the term water. So we have aviation assets that are a force multiplier that provide aerial reconnaissance and aerial response to a variety of incidents that occur within the county of Westchester and our region. As the Commissioner mentioned, we have a lot of partners, federal and other county partners, part of our counterterrorism zone that we respond and help them out in times of need. And that aerial asset not only responds to incidents, but performs what we call inspections, looking for crime, trying to deter crime by making observations pre-event to try and stop it. And that incorporates our own areas where we are primary police in our county parks, our county buildings, our county facilities. As you're aware, we encompass almost 500 square miles in the county of Westchester. So that aerial platform and that aerial observation is really a force multiplier, where it's very difficult to get ground units to cover some vast lands in the rural areas. And definitely a force multiplier for rooftops and such in our urban areas. On the water side, we're very fortunate to have really grown our maritime safety and security program. Some people call them harbor units or marine units, but it's really a maritime safety and security program. We've been very fortunate over the past 15 years to get a lot of grant funding from the federal government to support our mission to provide not only recreational safety, as most people think when it comes to the waterborne environment, but there's a lot of critical infrastructure that border our waterways or go over our waterways, where we make proactive inspections and observations with them. And it's also a deterrent for terrorism as well, amongst a lot of other things that Special Operations does. A lot of people don't think of the maritime environment in that aspect, but by being out there, and it's a year-round, full-time unit, and they patrol unless there's ice on the Hudson River or something that prevents us from going out. They're out there almost on a daily basis, and that's part of what we sign on when we get a lot of grant monies too, is that we provide certain services not only to the county, but are available as a regional response as well. And on the ground side is we have a variety of units that work on a daily basis. We have our hazardous devices unit, which formerly was called our bomb squad, that handles a variety of units, not only explosive, but what we call the chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear aspect as well, CBRNE. Highly trained individuals. It's a 7-member unit, 5 of which are full-time, some of which have explosive detection canines, which people see a lot in schools, doing sweeps, dignitary protection, and so on and so forth, responding to incidents throughout the county or the region when they have an incident that requires their expertise. So we're very fortunate to have them. Our special response team is our tactically trained officers that number over 20 that respond to a variety of incidents that can't be handled by your routine patrol officer. Highly trained, highly outfitted, special weapons and tactics, so on and so forth, and have a counterterrorism mission as well. And we have our crisis negotiators that work hand in hand with our special response team in the instances with criminal and non-criminal instances with crisis. Whether it's a barricade, mental health barricade, or a criminal barricade, hostage situation, people trying to harm themselves, which we call non-criminal. We work hand in hand with our local crisis response teams as well to try and bring it to a successful resolution. We're fortunate to have a number of members trained in that area. Our emergency service unit is our specialized patrol unit that goes out in they call them like rescue trucks. So they are highly trained as well. They're trained in multiple disciplines, from opening locked vehicles to responding to medical emergencies. They're all trained in emergency medical technicians, bad car accidents, sudden medical emergency events that may happen in an office or parkland. They're usually initial responders, oftentimes before local EMS arrives. They're trained in accident vehicle extrication, emotionally disturbed persons, technical rescue, water rescue, as people can be familiar with the recent flooding we've had in our parkways and towns. They're trained and equipped to go out and assist motorists or people that are trapped in these stranded waters. And we have our environmental security unit as well that goes out and assists our county parks, Department of Environmental Facilities, making sure we're in conformance with the environmental laws as set forth by the state and by the federal government, and report back on that and assist with any environmental crime investigations with our detective units. And last but not least, our canine unit. Currently have 15 canines with various disciplines, from tracking canines. Our bloodhounds are big nose, big ears fellas and ladies that track, lost children, suspects, so on and so forth. We have explosive detection canines, drug detection canines, electronic storage device detection canine, cell phones, computers, laptops, something of that nature. And an arson detection canine, which is actually an accelerant detection canine that's used to search stuff that aids in fire spreading. So we're very fortunate. They also have collateral duties in our patrol division, most of those canines that are under the auspices of Captain Greer, who will speak momentarily. So in not only our department and our primary function, but we also respond to the needs of the local municipalities in the county of Westchester, and oftentimes in our bordering counties, and sometimes in Connecticut and in Greenwich. If something happens and they need something in an emergency, we're fortunate enough to be equipped and trained to assist them as needed. I'll turn it over now, unless somebody has questions, to Captain James Greer, our patrol commander.
May I have that, Chief? Thank you. It's always tough to follow special operations. I mean, by definition, it's special, right? So I have that going against me. Fortunately, I am here to talk to you today about Patrol Services Division, along with that, the Detective Division. Obviously, we all work hand in hand. Just by way of background, Patrol Services Division in county, we already addressed mutual aid, right? That's the most important thing, is our partnerships with other jobs, right? But also we have some primary responsibilities. A lot of people know us differently, right? To the residents of the village of Mount Kisco, we're their local police. Same with Cortland, we share that responsibility with the New York State Police, okay? So people talk about community policing. And we talk about this span of time, right, from 2017 to 2022, what's happened in that time? Well, a couple of big things, but most notably, to sum it up, 2020, okay? COVID and protests, right? Protests which led to police reform in Westchester and New York at large. We were already, I think, in fairness, ahead of the curve, but we still had work to do. one of the emphasis on policing was community policing, right? So when you talk about Cortland or you talk about Mount Kisco and our partnerships with the community, which is the most important partnership, we have the partnerships with these other jurisdictions, and they're important, but working together, right, with the people that we represent in law enforcement, the people we're supposed to keep safe, okay? That's really our most important function, I think. And it's not limited to just Mount Kisco or Cortland, and that's why the term community police is a little bit misleading, right? Because by definition, we should all be community police. And I think if one of the many lessons we learned from police reform is people want that relationship with the community, and they want that dialogue, and they want that sharing of ideas. And I think that's one of those things we really embraced, and we grew in that direction. Hand in hand with that, the expansion of our school resource officer program, right? 12 school resource officers across 20 schools, 5 school districts in the northern part of the county. Community resource officers as well, special liaisons to address issues with the community, hand in hand with our mobile crisis response teams, right? Taking a broader approach to the calls that we get, dispatched to, that really, it's not always a police answer to a police call, and that's something that we realized along the way. And then there's our more traditional functions, right? The Westchester County Airport, county offices, buildings, Parkway Patrol. Things that we've always done and done well as far as DWI enforcement, vehicle and traffic law enforcement, but also, I mean, just the nature of Westchester and what makes Westchester, the Parkway system, right? The Bronx River, the Sawmill, the Cross County, the Hutch, the Sprain. Even though that's state police, these are the arteries of Westchester and make up a lot of its character, but they're also pathways for criminality. And this is where, when we talk about working with our partners and the collaborations we have, I think we've come into even greater prominence beyond our criminal interdiction roles, DWI enforcement, and again, vehicle and traffic enforcement, as important as those are, right, to everyone's safety. And that's, the parkways kind of unite all these towns and villages and cities together. And where you're talking about our biggest city, Yonkers, right, to the smallest town or village, our partnerships, as mentioned, with neighboring jurisdictions in Putnam and Dutchess, New York State Police, and especially NYPD, right? Because none of these crimes are local crimes. There's very few crimes that are exclusive to Bronxville, right, or Larchmont. The criminals don't see those boundaries. So in our role as county police, we get to work together with our partners, and as the commissioner alluded to, on the state and federal level, and work together. And one of the things, when you talk about 2020, you talk about change, both from police reform and COVID is the other, big difference maker, okay? COVID, as horrible as it was, there was some silver linings to COVID, and it increased communication and relying on one another. Why? Because we had to, right? Unprecedented, and terrifying, quite honestly, for most of us at first. But it made us stronger as a police community, and we'd start with, again, calls with the Chiefs of Police Association and our other partners, trying to figure out solutions, right? Come up with solutions to problems together is what we're trying to do. And along those lines came solutions to other problems and solidified partnerships, right, that went well beyond COVID. It made our relationships that much stronger. And one of the things that also occurred over the past few years is Real-Time Crime Center, which was mentioned earlier. And that really just embodies this collaboration, right, when it comes to Real-Time Crime Center, and over, I think it's 57 different law enforcement agencies working together. And again, NYPD, Dutchess, Putnam, Rockland, State Police, and it's kind of an open door community, because we all realized a while ago that we have to rely on each other to solve these problems. And real-time crime, while it is known for its cutting-edge technology and information sharing, police databases, software, license plate reader technology, right? Cameras, and these are great tools. They're terrific tools, but they're just tools. It's really the collaboration it represents among law enforcement. And again, going back to the communities we serve, right? Because the information has to come from somewhere. And that's the great thing about it. So it really ties everything in together. So I don't want to talk too long. I really appreciate the time. We really appreciate the time the county executive, deputy county executive, and their staffs have given to us. And moreover, really thank you, the communities we serve. Whether we are your local police or not, we are definitely working with your local police on a regular basis. And we think the results speak for themselves, hopefully. But it is certainly a collaboration. So your partnership, we're grateful for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain James Greer, Chief James Luciano, and our Acting Commissioner, Terrence Rayner. As we just close up our point, I want Ken Jenkins, our Deputy County Executive, to share a few thoughts. We're also joined by the Chair of the Board of Legislators, the Honorable Vedat Gashi, who will join us and share a few thoughts from the legislative perspective. But just to recap, what you've heard is just an outline of the kind of services and programs that are conducted by this department. And the policing on the ground in Mount Kisco and Cortland, on the parkways and in the various county parks is maybe where you see the police in everyday settings, but there's a host of activities and actions that they do to do their job professionally that you may not see, but they are there on the job working for us every day. Mr. Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins.
Thank you, County Executive. And certainly this is an opportunity for us to continue to echo from what has happened in the Latimer administration from day one in 2018, which is the continued investment in our law enforcement community to make sure that we're able to partner with all the local communities to ensure that the safety and security of Westchester residents are at our primary focus point. And there has been no better way of showing how those investments have paid off than the decrease that has been shown in the crime statistics from 2017 into 2023. And that continuing trend, as Commissioner Rayner and Chief Luciano and Captain Greer have pointed out in the statistics, that show, again, that there's never no crime, but there's always the opportunity for us to work together with our local partners to do better and to have different opportunities to move forward. And whether it's with something like real-time crime, which is a technology-based, as Captain Greer pointed out, but it all counts on the partnerships with local community, to creative programs that came out of the conversations that we had during 2020, which was a Project Alliance, which was to divert some of those opportunities that happen with police to mental health services and professional health services in partnership with police to do a better job to make sure that everyone at the end of the day stayed as safe as possible, including our law enforcement professionals from the local departments. There has been no question at all that the kind of combinations of the partnerships and the investments have made a difference for the people of Westchester County. And let no one out there, as the county executive pointed out right from the very beginning, try to suggest otherwise. The investment, the continued support for our friends and family members that are in law enforcement, both the county executive and I have family members that were in law enforcement, that we continue to say we don't divert dollars from anywhere. We invest the dollars in places that we want. So there's no questions here in Westchester County and anywhere that we have opportunity with that we have not tried to make a difference with our law enforcement community. And again, the professionals that are standing up here today are a testament to that. But again, we continue to do work to look forward to make sure that we're making additional nicks in that particular armor that the people out there try to challenge us with each and every day. But our law enforcement community, Commissioner Rayner, Chief Luciano and Captain Greer, and all of the members of the department, and all of those professionals in the local departments, whether they're at the federal, the state, or our local municipalities, that partnership is going to continue. Thank you.
And before I bring up Chairman Vedat Gashi, let me just mention that the partnership that's been described not only exists between the county police and the local police departments, but also amongst the three departments of law enforcement in Westchester County. In addition to our Department of Public Safety, we have a Department of Corrections and a Department of Probation, and they also have important functions. They're different functions, but they also help us reduce the amount of crime. Our Department of Corrections, led by Joe Spano, who's the commissioner, First Deputy Commissioner Nori Padilla, Deputy Commissioner Leo Diaz, and Deputy Commissioner Michael Gerald. that department has made tremendous strides with the incarcerated portion of the community. Those people who have to serve time have been adjudicated as requiring to pay a debt to society. But while they are incarcerated, to try to give them some opportunity for qualifications, a certificate for culinary arts, a high school degree, certification for gardening arts, so when they come out, they have a better opportunity to live a life that would be crime-free. And the Department of Probation, headed by Rocco Pozzi, has a hands-on reality for those early days when someone leaves the correctional institution and is back out in the community, and you want them to head in the right direction, not back into the wrong direction. Our rate of recidivism, meaning how many people come back into the prison having left, is very low in this county, and that percentage has improved over the last number of years. And for that, I credit the law enforcement professionals of the correctional field, those people I've just mentioned, all the men and women that work in our Department of Corrections and Department of Probation, for helping make those numbers come down. When you have less people repeating crime, you have less crime, and that also is part of the picture of Westchester today. Everything that happens in Westchester County government requires the important support of the local legislators that you elect to represent you in the Westchester Board of Legislators. Their chairman, Vedat Ghazi, is with us here. I'd like to offer him an opportunity to say a few words. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, County Executive, and thank you to all assembled. It's an honor to be here in support of, or to speak about the decrease in crime numbers in Westchester. Obviously, it is a result of the work of the men and women out there protecting us, risking their lives, and ensuring that we are going to be safe when we go home. There in other circles, suggestions that maybe we decrease those funds. We've shown here, the county executive has shown here, the deputy county executive, the administration has shown that increased investment, doing policing better, doing it how we've been, how these men and women have been doing it for us, is the best way to approach that, how to arrive at that goal, and it is an honor to be here. We recognize that we are stronger together, and that none of this can be done alone with one segment or one police force. It's the interplay, the connection together, going from school resource officers to the special forces that were spoken about earlier. This is a collaborative effort, and it's my honor on behalf of the Board of Legislators to be here, and we will continue to support as much as we can, because we recognize how incredibly important it is that you do that. So thank you again for the opportunity, and congratulate you on this great success. Thanks.
Thank you, Chairman of the Westchester County Board of Legislators, Vedat Ghazi. Let me also recognize the volunteer members of our County Police Advisory Board. We have a number of professionals who serve in an advisory capacity to the department. They consult with the senior leadership of the department, but they also have an independent responsibility to consider issues, and they are a source for complaints if individuals do have them. We have a very, very low number that are directed to the county police, and we're very proud of that. Leroy Frazier, Esquire, is the chair of our Police Advisory Board. Leroy, along with Mayo Bartlett, were the chairs of our Police Reform Review Group, which came up with a host of recommendations, many of which have been implemented. We had, as Captain Greer said, many of those things implemented already, such as body cams for the officers that already happened before the reform process at the county. Other departments have had to adopt that going forward. The mental health crisis response teams was one of the major recommendations that's been implemented, and having an app on your cell phone, very 21st century, is now something that also came out of that, which has been implemented by the department. But the Police Advisory Board serves to bring some of those ideas in, and so we thank Chairman Leroy Frazier, other members of the board, Paul Hood, who comes out of a law enforcement background, Carola Bracco, who is active as a leader of Neighbors Lincoln, Mount Kisco. We have Peter Kamenstein, who served for many years on that board. We have other members as well. Richard Wishney, who serves as our Emergency Services Commissioner now, is also a member of that board, and they provide a tremendous service to us. So all of these things pulled together in a cooperative fashion. We'll recap the information in a second with a video that we're going to show you, but I just want to leave you with the sense that we know that the work is not done. It is not completed on any given day. We are all subject to the actions that any individual or group of individuals may choose to make through their own misdirected sense of things, that they would commit a crime at any point in time. The important thing to understand is that we put resources and talented professionals behind the effort to intercept that crime before it happens, if it can be intercepted, and then to capture those who have committed those crimes so that they face the proper adjudication of their crimes. We are committed to public safety. As I said in our conversation yesterday, we're committed to providing you the best possible government at the lowest possible taxes. We've reduced taxes in the last 4 years without having to reduce our support for not just law enforcement but other departments of county government. And tomorrow we're going to talk about our environmental, our commitment to improving the environment. These are essential reasons why people move to Westchester County, that they be taxed less, that they have proper public safety, that they see environmental concern and other activities. So let us recap our results with the following video, which we're happy to have you view at this time. This is Westchester County Executive George Latimer. Here in Westchester County, crime is down again. According to the latest report from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services, our community can take pride in a decrease in crime rates over the past 5 years. When comparing 2017 to 2022, total index crime is down 5.2%. Total violent crime is down 15.7%. Property crime total is down 3%. Murders are down 47.3%. Rape is down 29%. Robbery down 27%. Aggravated assault down almost 8%. Burglary 25% down. And larceny down almost 3%. These are not just numbers. They are real improvements in the lives of our residents. Don't listen to the rhetoric. Westchester County is safer today compared to when I took office in 2018. I want to express my gratitude to our dedicated law enforcement personnel and our community partners, both the Westchester County Department of Public Safety and all of the 40-plus local police departments that work hard, work professionally, and keep us safe. While certain regions in the state are grappling with unfortunate spikes in crime rates, Westchester County continues to maintain a consistent decline in criminal activities. We have funded our county police at the highest level ever, reflecting our commitment to keeping our county safe for all of us. Westchester County is on a positive trajectory toward a safer future. Thank you, Westchester County, for your resilience and commitment to a safer tomorrow.